Hello everyone, welcome to the latest episode of Sean's Movie Crusades. My name is Sean Waskrug, and I'm here to review all the latest films in theaters, as well as any as you recommend, whether they be recent films or old school movies. Now before I go into today's video, don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel, so that way you guys are kept up to date with all the latest videos, and also follow us at all the social media outlets down you see below. Now today we're reviewing an independent film that's been getting a lot of critical acclaim, and it's called 8th Grade. Honestly, when this movie came out, I didn't hear a single word about it. Didn't know about any trailers for it. Didn't hear anything about it. But once the movie had come out, all I could hear was about this movie. Phenomenal performances, mainly by the main actress, Elsie Fisher, and basically about one particular scene in the film that was cringeworthy and hard to watch. So, by the time I was actually able to finally see this movie, I'd already seen that Elsie had got nominated for a Golden Globe, so it was definitely something that I needed to see right away. So basically what the overall plot of the film is exactly what the title says. It's basically about the life of an 8th grader, Kayla Day, and basically her awkward struggles of going through the 8th grade. Sounds pretty simplistic enough. And it really is. I mean, for an independent film, it's a very simplistic film. It's not going to do anything to break the mold. But that's what it is. I mean, you're going through the life of an 8th grader, which of today almost feels like a high schooler by today's standards, with technology the way it is and just how kids are growing up nowadays. It definitely didn't feel like it felt for me when I was in 8th grade, to a point. But there are certain elements of the film that really brought you back to your 8th grade self. Now, let's go with what actually works with the movie. First things first, just as deserved, Elsie Fisher does a fantastic job as Kayla Day. She wears all of her emotions basically on her face. She doesn't necessarily, or not even on her face, her whole body. She basically plays that girl, and we've all been there to a point where when she's by herself, she's the most confident person in the world. But when she's in a group, she really just kind of hides in her shell like a turtle. And she wants to be bigger. She wants to be out there more and more popular. And she wants to have friends and all this kind of stuff. But then when the time comes to finally do something, she just can't muster up the strength to do it. But she does make YouTube videos. And from there, they're kind of motivational videos. They're not that great, but at least she's trying. And in her videos, it's basically almost feels like it's the way for her to talk to herself, to make herself feel more comfortable to do these certain situations. Whether or not those work or not, you will see when you watch the movie. But yeah, I mean, she does a great job of just showing that anxiety and stress that any teenager or young teenager goes through in school when it comes to boys, meeting friends, parties, and all the situations like that. And Elsie Fisher does a fantastic job of going through that through the entire film, and makes you feel a part of her, or at least makes you understand her approach for things, because we've all been there. Another standout performance definitely goes to Josh Hamilton. He plays her father, Mark Day, and he does a great job. He plays that father that is just trying to understand his daughter. He's not really disciplining her. He's just trying to be that cool, best friend approach to a father. No matter how crazy Kayla gets on him, he's just doing his best to try to understand her and be there for her in any way he can. And there's a lot of times where he gets shit on constantly throughout this film for no reason other than just he's the closest one to Kayla's wrath. And it's kind of sad to a point. But yeah, I mean, but Josh Hamilton does a fantastic job. And there's one particular scene in the film, I'm just going to call it the campfire scene. And it's a standout performance by both actors, but mainly Josh Hamilton. He gives a phenomenal monologue that really, in my opinion, should have gotten him more recognition as well as supporting actor. But he does a great job in the small role he does, and he's a highlight in every scene he's in. What also works is, just like I said earlier, the super awkwardness and stressfulness of these scenes in this film. If you didn't have these situations in 8th grade, then you're incredibly lucky, because while going through this film and watching what she did, or what she's going through, it brings you back to that 8th grade persona of what you used to be, and you can understand and you can feel the anxiety and stress that Elsie or that Kayla is feeling. That stress of going to a pool party and having to go out in a bathing suit where you have all these other girls and guys who are maybe better looking and better shape than you, and you trying to hide yourself, but also you're also just out there. The first time meeting new friends, the first time being invited to something, just all these super awkwardness. And while you're watching it, you want to scream out to Kayla and basically go, just do it, just do it, but she just can't. But it's like, that's just like we would if we were kids. There's probably, parents or older brothers, sisters who just say, just go out and do it, stop worrying about it. And then you just can't do it. And Elsie does a fantastic job of showing that to us and really does bring us back to our old 8th grade emotions and feelings, as we were all there at some point. There is one particular scene, and it is the scene that I kept hearing about. I'm not going to say what the scene is, because I want you guys to be kind of shocked when it happens, and I don't want you to go, oh, it's this scene. There is one particular scene that is incredibly unnerving and cringeworthy, and you're just kind of horrified at what's about to happen and what could happen, and you just want to help Kayla's character out so much, and you just have to sit there and watch it happen, and you're just praying and hoping for the best that it doesn't go the way it's gonna go. That scene, I'm not a fan of the scene, but it is an incredibly well done scene and performance by Kayla, or by Elsie. And I said, I'm not a particular fan of the scene, but I understand why the scene was in there. But it is definitely probably one of the most stressed out scenes, or just uncomfortable scenes of the year. Now, what does not work in this movie, like I said, I wasn't a fan of that particular scene, but I think it works very well. But the one thing that really doesn't work for me is really all the social media stuff. Like, I get it, everyone's on their phone, I'm on my phone all the time, and all that kind of stuff, but the first 15 minutes, or maybe even 20 minutes, it's just literally her on her phone the entire time. And it's really hard to get into the movie when literally your main character does nothing but pay attention to her phone the entire time. And so I wish we could have gotten, like, they eventually get out of that to a point. I mean, it's still a pretty vital point throughout the film. But it definitely is hard to get into the movie for the first 20 minutes because you're not really finding out who Elsie is as a character. You're just finding out that it's a kid in her phone, and she loves taking Instagram photos and all this, and watching Instagram photo or videos. And it's just kind of a weak 20 minutes to the film that I wish they could have done differently. And then outside of Josh Hamilton and Elsie Fisher's performances, the rest of the cast is not that great. They're all just kind of, I mean, you literally could have just plucked kids off the street and just popped them in the movie. There's just not good performances all around. They're just kind of there to work around Josh Hamilton and Elsie Fisher's characters, and they're relatively weak for the most part, which maybe that was to design. But for me, it just felt that outside of the two main characters, there really wasn't much to be excited about in terms of performance overall. But that's basically for what doesn't work. So overall, I think it's a solid independent film. The performances by Elsie Fisher and Josh Hamilton are incredibly solid. I totally understand why Elsie Fisher got nominated for a Golden Globe. I don't think the film is one of the best of the year that I keep seeing a lot of people say, but I do think it's a very solid film overall. And for anyone who wants to see that 8th grade kind of film and just go back to what it felt like, which, like I said, it was very stressful and awkward, then I strongly recommend the movie. If that's not something that you're into, then you're probably not going to enjoy it overall. So that's kind of where my overall thoughts are. If you want to go back to that 8th grade yourself, then definitely check out this film. If not for that, then definitely for Elsie Fisher's performance and Josh Hamilton for supporting. Other than that, this is probably something that you guys don't necessarily need to go out and try to find, unless this is something that really is up your alley. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the review. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button. And I hope you guys, if you guys feel like this review is worth sharing, you can go ahead and hit that share button, but don't forget to subscribe to the channel and also all the social media outlets you see below, so that way you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos on the channel. And until I see you guys next time, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.